How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Tactical Empire. I am here with my friend, mentor, confidant, partner in crime, Mr. Mike Claudio here. He is the owner of WinRate Consulting, the founder of a Champion Shoes nonprofit, and the legendary host of the Big Stud podcast. So welcome, Mike.
That sounds about right. I wouldn't change anything about that introduction.
Not bad. Not bad.
No, not bad. Well done. Well done.
I figured you were going to show out, so I would come through for you.
I plan on melting speakers today. So for anybody who knows me knows I don't really hold back on any opportunity to yell at people. So
I love that. I love that. And this is kind of like a lifestyle engineering business podcast. So we're going to talk about all the shit you've got going on because you guys are doing some big things. Tell me first about WinRate and what your business is.
All right. So WinRate Consulting was founded and created on the premise and mission of simplifying and systemizing the growth of home service companies by having an impact with every conversation we have. Obviously, it was just me, solopreneur, head coach for a long time. Late last year, we started bringing on additional coaches to support capacity. But we are a one-on-one business coaching company, primarily for home service companies. So if you sell a product or service to a homeowner, you're our target audience. We have outliers that just appreciate who we are and how we operate, like yourself, people that, appreciate my approach to business development and leadership and communication. But our core audience are home service and companies and contractors. And our premise is, there's a lot of great groups out there, but I think a lot of people are missing the accountability side of what a one-on-one person coming in and doing life with you. That's our approach. That's why we focus on one conversation at a time. And our primary, method is to help people systemize and simplify the growth of their companies. I think people overcomplicate the shit out of stuff. And we try to come in and help give them tactics, systems, processes, mindsets, approaches that allow them to, build more of the lifestyle that they got into business to create more than just a very lucrative job.
Yeah, that's super important, man, especially for like knuckle draggers like myself that are just ingrained in our being is hard work and like the ability to just slog it out. And
I feel like so many people feel like they're not suffering, they're not earning it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're wrong. I'll be the one. If you have never heard this before, you don't have to suffer to become wealthy. You don't have to suffer to there is suffering involved if you look at it that way, but the suffering should lead to an outcome that simplifies or systemizes part of your routine life for business. Not, I'm just going to suffer every day until hopefully I get where I want to get one day. It doesn't work that way.
Right. Right. And that's so important to understand. I mean, you're going to have a hard period of time and there's going to be like some suffering involved in creating success that you desire in really any venture or endeavor in life though.
And I think, I use suffering maybe a little loosely. I like to look at it as an intentional sacrifice, right? Like it doesn't have to suffer. Like, yeah, it's not always fun, but like, if you really want something, like when you first started your business, it wasn't suffering to go grow it and scale it and do the calls and do the follow-ups it wasn't suffering. You loved it because you saw what you were building. And then eventually you didn't realize what you were building anymore. And then it turned into suffering because you were working really hard and you didn't know why. When you know why that you're sacrificing for something, it's an investment in future results. If it's suffering when you don't know when it's going to end or why it's happening or what's going to happen from it, that's suffering. Yeah. When you're sacrificing it, it's more of an investment in like a future outcome that is more desirable than, satisfying my existing needs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. And a lot of it is like giving them permission to like upgrade or like give themselves time off or whatever it is, right? Or make that hire strategically so they can get out of their own way, so their ego isn't like ensuring that they're working 80 hours a week anymore.
Well, and I think if I had, like, I've done a lot of thinking on this, because obviously, I mean, I've coached hundreds of companies and business owners at this point, and you learn a lot by getting in the weeds with businesses at that level. And I think the permission is less freedom and more like it's okay to separate yourself from the opinions of those around you.
Mm-hmm.
I think so many business owners make decisions on how their employees or their customers or their spouse or their friends or their peer or their competition, all these external influences on how they'll react to a decision that you want to make, as opposed to like leading your ship your way with, unapologetically and no permission needed. That's where freedom happens.
Yeah.
When you're willing to just make decisions irrelevant of what people around you think. And I think that's where a lot of freedom that I've seen and those aha moments for a lot of the clients we've worked with comes when they're willing to give themselves permission to just unapologetically make decisions for themselves based on their own intuitions, thoughts, desires, wants, and needs.
Sometimes they don't understand and their leadership style enough, I feel like. And so they just go work to be present because they feel guilty about sending their staff there to do the day-to-day, whereas they need to be leveling up their thought process and their leadership skills to work on the overall vision to go to the next level.
Well, I mean, 90% of business owners can't tell you what the next level even looks like. Mm-hmm. So like they can't separate from the day-to-day because they don't know where they're going. And when they don't know where you're going, you can't take intentional action. When you can't take intentional action, you get anxious and depressed and lost and confused on what the fuck you're doing. And so you get stuck in this whirlwind of dissatisfaction with the machine that's not moving in a direction because you haven't told it where the fuck to go, because you haven't looked up long enough to figure out the destination on what you want to fucking achieve or arrive at. And this shit is just, it takes time, and people think it's easy. Like, oh, I want 10 million. Why? It sounds like a good number. Why? The fuck you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Then it's not worth it. Like if you don't know why you're doing something, it's too easy to give up on it because it's not worth it because you don't know why you're doing it. Man, that's a rabbit hole of a fucking conversation.
No doubt. Absolutely. Hey, let's talk about Champion Shoes and what you guys are doing with that, because we hit you guys up for some support last year with thousands of burpees and raise some money for you. I'm passionate about that cause, and I think it's super worthwhile. So let's talk about it a little bit.
So at a baseline, it's an anti-bullying movement. How we do that, our intent is to create championship level confidence in children by providing them name brand shoes. So we work with organizations like Big Brother, Big Sister, schools, churches, boys and girls clubs to find children in need who can't get access to shoes. And so if you look at bullying in general, it typically comes from a visual aspect. And so, walking into school with shitty shoes or shoes that don't fit right, there's a certain amount of anxiety and depression and self-doubt and self-neglect that comes along with that because of the bullying and the words and emotions of other students. And so we try to play a little role in that by, raising funds from wonderful people like yourself. And we go out and we buy name brand shoes, and we have a process for each pair. Each pair, it's not just a pair of shoes that we just send off generically. Every pair of shoes in the box, we wrap every pair of shoes, but inside the shoe box, we put a pair of socks. We put a card that's named for the child that says, "We believe you are capable. Go be a champion." My vision is if I get one kid to put that in his, bathroom mirror and change his family forever because he had somebody tell him he's capable of something that's worth it. We put a thank you card. I don't have any up right now because we're moving right now, but a pre-posted thank you card so that the kids can show gratitude and write a thank you card back to us. Then we wrap it and we send it off. We've sent about 2,000 pairs of shoes since we started late 2020. And then this year, 2022, we've really taken it to the next level. We've hired an executive director. We hired a volunteer and event manager so that we can really move it to the next level, because Tiff and I just part-time, we really just we couldn't make it what it could be. Like we could have always managed it and done something, but we couldn't make it what we wanted it to be. And so from that, it was like, do we spend a little bit of money to make the mission bigger? Or do we keep it small and just put all the funds? We don't make money from it. It's, it's a mission. It's an impact mission for us. And so from that perspective, we've grown it, I think, pretty substantially in a pretty short amount of time for being part-time. And now this year we're excited about taking it to the next level.
I love it, man. I love it. And it's only like $50 a pair of shoes. Like
we look at it, like it's gone up a little bit, unfortunately, with, supply chain issues and stuff, but
sure.
$50 gets us a decent pair of shoes, the pair of socks, the cards, the wrapping paper, the shipping cost. We typically execute a child for about $50. It varies obviously by, we have some kids that have very large shoe requirements, sizing wise, which gets a little more expensive.
Yep.
But our average, I'd say $50 to $60 gets a pair fully executed to a child in need. So if you go to championsshoes.org, you can learn more about us, the mission, how to get involved, the impact. You can submit a child in need. If you know somebody like with one of your kids' friends or your kids are not able to get, shoes that fit right or a new pair of shoes for back to school. We have two big pushes a year. We have a back to school push and a Christmas push. The 2 times a year where I think receiving gifts, specifically shoes, is the most impactful. So if you want to get involved or donate or submit a child in need, you can do all that through championsshoes.org.
Awesome. Go support him, guys. Go support him. Let's talk about what you guys are currently doing. Like you've had some exponential growth in your business, man. Like your business is pretty young still, and your trajectory has been massive.
Yeah.
And so you guys are kind of in the process of what I feel like Kirsten and I have done over the past few years, which is like integrating everything together, because you have young kids just like we do.
Yep.
You guys are about to hop on the homeschool train, and that's a whole different conversation. But
yeah. We don't know about that at this point. That's we're on the front end of that bell curve.
Yeah. It's super rewarding, but also like having no space is interesting as well. So let's talk about your business. Like when did you start WinRate?
So LLC was initially created April of 2018, and then I went full time with it. Full time coach, full time after it. Beginning of 2019.
Okay. Awesome. And you run a mastermind plus one-on-one coaching.
I mean, it's 95% one-on-one coaching. Like the group stuff has never been a push for us. It's never been a focus for us. Yep. It's kind of an afterthought because like there's a lot of great groups. There's a lot of great masterminds out there. And I'm not trying to build this big organization. We're looking to make impact one conversation at a time, and to do that, so one-on-one is our primary offer. And, from the beginning, I've 95+% of the revenue has been that. The growth has been real. Like I don't mind being a little transparent about it. If you have a problem with that, fuck off. But like, 2018, I think I did like 25 grand in total revenue. 2019, I did like 100 grand. 2020, I did 300. 2021, I did $1 million. And 2022, we're trending to do somewhere between 2.5 and 3 million.
Nice. Bro.
So like that's pretty substantial growth for any company. The biggest transition has been it takes time to build a brand that people trust in. You know what I mean? Especially in the coaching space. There's a lot of we'll say distrust in the industry. I'm not going to knock anybody specifically or any type of coach, but there's just distrust. In every industry, there's people that sell a product that don't deliver on it. It's not just fucking coaching, but coaching is different. There's a ton of people that sell a product or a service that don't deliver on, but coaching, I think, has its own stigma because it's a very, we'll say, low point of entry. You don't need a lot to decide, I'm a coach now. Like anybody can fucking say it. So I think it's an easy point of entry, but it's hard to maintain over time. Like I've always had a money back guarantee. I've always been somebody who stood by my product and the value that we bring. And that's why it's grown. And then last year in 2021, I started onboarding additional coaches from on the team that can help with the scale. Like we have well over 100 clients now in the one-on-one side. And I only think I support like 35 or 38 of them. So from that perspective, it's it's grown, the mission has grown, but I'll tell you, I think the number one reason that it has grown, and this has been a big talking point for me lately, is like I've had a singular mission since the beginning of 2018. There's been no alternatives. There's been no quick, get rich quick scheme. There has been no, I'm all hot on crypto and NFTs right now. There's no fucking real estate investing. Every fucking minute, every dollar, every ounce of energy, every ounce of focus has been singularly focused on simplifying, systemizing growth of home service companies to have an impact on every conversation we have. Like every single decision, every waking moment for the last 4 years has been dedicated to that mission. And I see like there's so much happening right now in the world where, the access to information creates this shiny object syndrome, and you get distracted from your mission. You get distracted from the focus, which means you become less believable. Your brand, your trustworthiness starts to decline because people don't know what the fuck you stand for. Everybody knows what I stand for. There is no question on who I am, what I believe in, and what I'm trying to do. And so I've been able to assemble a incredibly powerful team of real business owners. Like everybody that's a coach on my team is either currently or previously ran a multi-million-dollar home service company. Like these are real people that really care. They follow, they uphold the core values, naturally. They fully grasp the mission, and they cannot wait to be a part of helping me make it successful. Very few business owners have that level of buy-in from their employees. And I'll tell you, what you see over the next 3 years is going to be entirely, the word I'm can't think of the word. It's entirely because of these people and the clarity of the mission. It's an attestment. It's going to be attested to, like what you see in the next 3 years. We will have an 8-figure business in the next 3 years very easily, as long as we don't fuck up our integrity and get distracted on the mission. The social proof that happens after years of being dedicated to a singular mission, the belief of your team after being solely dedicated to a mission, the ability for your audience to grasp who you are and what you believe in because you've been solely dedicated to a single mission. So many people get distracted by what they think they might be missing out on, or the FOMO side of business, because once you get a little bit of money, you want to play in all these different games. Dude, every dollar I have has been invested back into this mission, and that's why it's grown 300% 4 years in a row.
Yep.
I know other people have faster growth than me. Yep. My mission, my speed, my decisions, my approach.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think that's a great testament to how you build something and stay focused, for sure. I think that you're a great example to other entrepreneurs probably that you work with as well, because everyone gets that shiny object syndrome and wants to shift focus and distract, and it detracts from your ultimate mission, and it slows you down. Ultimately, that's what it does. I mean, because you pull energy from one area and focus it in a different area, and it obviously has diminishing returns.
And it also dilutes the buy-in from your team. Like if they don't know what you stand for, what's important right now, because yesterday you were talking about client experience, today you're talking about crypto, tomorrow you're talking about your real estate investments. Yep. The message of what's important to the team right now gets incredibly diluted.
Yeah.
And like, until you have a business that can operate the mission 100% without you, my opinion is you shouldn't be chasing extracurricular activities. Yeah. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm leaving a whole bunch of fucking money on the table, but I'm building something more impactful than revenue generating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the revenue happens to keep showing up.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, it's a byproduct.
Yep.
At all levels. So you ultimately, the vision for the company is to go to 8 figures then.
The next base camp.
Okay.
I look at business like you're scaling Mount Everest. You don't go from the bottom to the top. You go one base camp at a time, and you spend some time at that base camp to get acclimated to the new employees, the new financial requirements, the new bills, the new payroll. Like every base camp requires some acclimation before you can move on. It's one thing after another, but, for me, it's, mostly for the team, like having the high performing employees and wanting them to be excited about where we're going. I had to dream bigger. I don't need 10 million in revenue for me to be excited. I need 10 million in revenue for these high performing employees who are part of the mission right now. Help me build this. I want them to be excited about where we're going. And I think Ed Milet probably says it the best, but like, you have to build a mission big enough that everybody on your team sees their mission coming true by being a part of your mission.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to stay ahead of it. I'm trying to build something bigger right now than I could have imagined, to make sure that these high performing people that are on my team stay bought into the mission. Because if they don't see what they want in their life coming true on your mission, at some point they'll see you going off course from their destination and they'll fucking jump ship. Yep. That's why, like, dude, I'm so tired of employees quitting and going and starting their own business. That's because you don't understand what the fuck they wanted. So they could not get what they wanted on your mission. So they went to do it on their own. I don't fucking blame them. Like, if I'm a high performing employee and I don't see success in my life the way I've defined it on a part of your mission, I'm going to jump ship and go find either a mission to join that does get me there or build my own.
Yep.
And so if you don't understand the dreams and aspirations and vision for everybody on your team on what they want to accomplish in their life, and you can't directly tie your mission becoming successful to their mission becoming successful, they will leave. And so right now I'm building an 8-figure business, not for me, so that these high-performing employees want to be a part of it, because I can't even build what I have right now without them.
Yep, 100%. I think a lot of times people think too small and I've even been guilty of this, is that I'm kind of just worried about myself and I don't understand the bigger picture. I've been guilty of that in my business as well. But you're right. Yeah, Ed says that, and it makes a ton of sense. It makes you really expand your horizons in the way you think about your business, because you're like, holy fuck, man, like, my vision has to be so big that their visions fit inside of it.
Yeah.
It really changes your perspective on what you're creating.
Well, and in my opinion, it takes a little bit of the fear out of dreaming bigger, because the fear of dreaming bigger is less than the fear of losing your top employees. In my opinion.
Yeah.
If I lost 3 of my coaches right now, I'd be fucked.
Yeah.
I can't absorb that amount of clients one-on-one. I don't know. There's not enough hours in a fucking week.
Right.
And so my fear of these guys feeling like they are not going to be able to accomplish what they want on my mission is greater than me having to dream bigger and go get it.
Yeah. And
so I think like that does, in a sense, make it easier.
Yeah, I totally get that. Totally get that. Let's talk about Mike Claudio outside of WinRate Consulting. What do you got going on?
Nothing. No. So this all ties together. So did you watch the planning webinar that I did in December? Have you seen that? So like everything that's happening right now is a predefined vision that Tiffany, my wife, and I had 6 years ago. And we didn't know how we were going to get there. We didn't know what it was going to look like. We didn't know what was going to need to happen or who was going to need to hire. But we knew like what type of life we wanted to live. And I could say there was one statement that we were working towards. And it's, I want to work with who I want, when I want, where I want. Seems basic enough.
Yep.
But try it. It's fucking hard.
Yes. And
so I had to build an environment that granted me that freedom. And I didn't know what that was at the time. It was just, this is what we're working towards. And we said, well, then we have to be able to, like, Tiff has to be able to retire from corporate America, because we can't be reliant on her vacation time.
Yep.
You know, the kids have to have freedom. So like homeschool probably is in the play at some point, not knowing when. The business needs to be able to operate and create revenue without me, because I can't just operate the lifestyle I want. We figured out, what does our ideal lifestyle cost? Like, we made a list of everything we want: vacation homes, you know, in investments in education for the kids, investments we want to make in ourselves, houses, cars, assets, everything. We made a list. We said, what's it going to cost? I can tell you right now, it's about $50,000 a month is what it's going to cost me. And so from the beginning, I was building a business that was going to generate me $50,000 a month in take-home income. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, and there's certain things that needed to happen before the next thing could happen, right? Like, you know, being able to build a successful coaching company beyond 2019. That was first step. And then it was, well, we need to get the freedom of Tiffany, you know, being not in corporate America anymore. Well, that happened in 2021. And then it was, I need coaches on the team. And then how many coaches on the team do I need to generate the amount of revenue I need to take home 50,000? And I built it all out 6 years ago. Well, the scary part is, even down to the house we're buying this week, I bet 80 to 90% of the vision board we created 6 years ago is getting accomplished this week. Like, not all 80, but like this will be like the final chapter in that initial, this is what we're going to build. It happened a lot fucking faster than we were imagined it to. And so now my challenge is, Tiff quit her job. We're going to homeschool. We got a nanny. We're buying the house. We got the cars we wanted. You know, like literally, like the Jeep that I bought Tiff, that I surprised her with last year, is almost identical to the picture she put on her vision board 6 years ago.
Right.
Almost identical. And like the cars, so I have an F-250 King Ranch. Always wanted one of those. I have a Challenger Hellcat with a stage 1 upgrade. Like that fucker's got 900 and something horsepower. Like I have everything I could have imagined 6 years ago. And I basically look at it as I have accomplished my first base camp. Mm-hmm. Like on my journey up the mountain of Mount Everest, this is base camp 1. I finally have a foundation built that I can scale from. I built the lifestyle. Like I should be able to have 10 clients next year, make the 50, 60 grand a month I want to make, take home for me. The business should do 5 to 6 million. But now I have to dream bigger. And that's the scary part. It's like today, I hired a new coach today. Somebody who has built what it is I believe I want, or at least has been through the journey that I'm about to go on into this next season of WinRate in my life. And I hired him, and he charges over 10 grand a month.
Yep.
And so I'm heavily investing back into myself so that I can continue to evolve into who I need to become for this mission to maintain success. And so we've checked a lot of boxes, and I'll challenge everybody here. Manifestation to visualization is real. It is the realest fucking power that's out there. Cut it out of a fucking magazine and put it on a vision board and look at it every day, and it'll come true. I don't care what it is. And like even how this house happened, right? Like we weren't looking to move outside of Charlotte. We were originally looking at Dallas because I'm in Dallas a lot, obviously Apex and everything else. So I realized like, well, I don't really want to muddy the water between WinRate and Apex. And like, would we want to be in Dallas if we didn't have the friends we have right now? And the answer was no. But like friendships change every 3 to 4 years because people evolve and change. And I was like, okay, so we're not going to move. We're going to stay in Charlotte. And I made a post on Facebook. It was beginning of March, 2022. And it was, I'm throwing this out into the universe. I'm looking for a 5+ bedroom house on 2+ acres for budget 1.2 million.
Yeah.
Not a week later, a house went on the market. It was March 12th. And somebody in my audience saw it, said, this checks a lot of boxes, and sent it to me.
Yep.
It's in Greenville, South Carolina. Would have never imagined it. 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 7,000 square feet on 3.5 acres for 1.2 million. Like check. And they got kind of crazy. It was like, I always wanted really tall ceilings in my living room. Oh, tall ceilings in the living room. I said 7 years ago, I've always wanted to be able to smoke a cigar in my house and not like stink up the house. The man cave in this house has built-in cigar smoke ventilation system. I said, I always wanted to have enough garages so that I can like park my toys and my cars and stuff. 5-car garage.
Yeah.
I want land so I can build a really cool pool, 3.5 acres. I want a big deck on the vision board. It's a 2,000 square foot deck. And it's just like, I didn't even know this was a thing. But because I put it on paper, because I dreamed about it, because I strategized every single year and reimagined the dreams on what needed to happen to move the ball closer to what I want in life, which is part of the process as I talk about in that planning webinar I did in December.
Yep.
We've had a strategy. Tiffany and I have sat down every quarter for 6 or 7 years talking about our dreams, our goals, our aspirations, and what our actions are actually aligning to. And oh my God, it worked.
Yep.
And so now I'm almost scared. Like, full transparency, I'm 35 years old. I have a very long work life ahead of me. Retirement is not in the picture because I am a workaholic. I like helping people. I like being involved. I like solving problems. And so I'm scared of, honestly, at this point, what I'm capable of. I look at what I've built in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. Like what I'm capable of is very, very big and impactful and public. And so my fear right now is more of the blind spots. Like, what do I not know about building an 8-figure company? And so I'm going to hire coaches to help me figure that out. And so I'm very good at business. I believe I'm very good at business. I'm not the best ever, but like I'm very good at what I do know about business. And I'm very good at articulating that in a way that gets other people bought into and taking action in accordance to that. What I suck at is self-belief and self-direction. I suck at being left to my own demons. And so like people talk about how disciplined and organized and like structured I am. It's because if I don't, I'll fall back into a lot of bad habits. Yep. Drinking, women, porn. Like I struggle with like demons.
Right.
And so like self-direction is one of my lowest attributes, like problem solving, critical thinking, operational awareness, 10 out of 10. Self-direction and self-belief, like fucking 4 out of 10. And so like, I know that about myself. So I'm like putting systems, processes, structures, accountability, routine in place so that like I stay disciplined to the mission. Like I'm not great at that. It's actually, I'm actually terrible at it. But I know, and like what I teach and coach on now are things that I've learned to overcome my own shortcomings to build success.
Right. You can build yourself an operating system if you can have enough self-awareness to understand yourself.
Just accept the fact you're not good at everything, and then it's easy to solve problems.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So,
and then also you have an obligation, because I feel the same way. Like I have a standard to uphold because people look at me. And so I can tell you, I get my ass out of bed and do what I'm supposed to do on a regular basis because I know people are watching. Yeah. And part of the reason is I've done that on purpose because I feel like I need that. So it's actually self-serving to an extent because like I need to, because I always say that I just want to fucking disappear and like go off the grid. And Kirsten is always like, you're fucking crazy. You'd go absolutely insane. And within not too long. And I was like, well, you actually might be right, because I wouldn't know what to do with myself because I wouldn't have, I don't know. It's a balance. I think I could be alone for a period of time, but also I do think I get up and produce on a regular basis because of everyone else in my life.
No, I definitely require alone time to rejuvenate. I'm an introvert. I don't like people, ironically.
Yeah.
Big groups of people wear me out. So my alone time is strategically placed in my routine so that I can rejuvenate and kind of refuel myself in a way. And I have not been able to do that much lately with the move and a lot of big changes happening at once. And so I'm wore out right now. I'll tell you. I mean, like you even said it. You saw like a video. Like I'm a little wore out right now between the bulking and the cutting and the exercise and the diet for this fucking Project Silverback and the move and the homeschooling and the amount of money that I'm spending right now on the business and the life and everything else. And like, it's all uncomfortable. And like, I thrive outside of my comfort zone, but if I don't get my alone time, I struggle recharging. And I have not had that in quite some time. And so I'm excited about getting this move done and being able to strategically place, quiet time and in alone time back into my routine.
Yeah, that's one thing you're going to have to strategically figure out with your kids being home all the time.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely part of the strategy on things I'm going to have to do to make sure that I, I'm still the best dad. Like I don't need to be there every fucking minute to be a great dad if I'm not the best version of myself when I'm there. Exactly. So, it's definitely a big part of this is being intentional about rebuilding the routine that gives me the ability to, really pour back into myself and rejuvenate so that I can pour into others effectively.
Yep. I totally get it, man. It's.
So I feel like I've been talking for like 3 hours on this damn thing.
No, the irony of like your business is I come from a mentoring company where I've worked for years that does one-on-one consulting. And I think you and I have talked about this. And And the most calls I ever did in 1 month was 69 1-hour calls. And so for a guy with your personality, as far as being introverted, I sometimes feel like I'm a bit introverted, and I've recognized that over the past few years, but I can't really define it. I don't know that I am, but it exhausts me. Like putting out that emotional bandwidth all the time to other people it is exhausting. So those, like your 38 clients is a lot of fucking clients still, man. I know that grind, and it's taxing to be able to show up for everybody all the time and take care of everyone on the level that you need to, because you have staff that goes along with those 38 clients. So you've got another tier of people, and then you've got your family, and like you're serving a lot of masters.
100%.
Yeah.
And the challenge is it all happened faster than I realized it was happening. And then you get into it, and like, I don't turn over clients that fast. Right. And so, we typically do 12-month contracts. So it's hard for me to pivot out of a mistake quickly that's not disappointing or letting somebody down. And I've had to make some tough decisions. I've had to offload some of the clients that signed up for me this year and put them with, one of the other coaches on the team, which they're delivering. The clients are happy, but that was a really hard decision for me.
Yeah.
One of the hardest days in business I think I've had yet was like disappointing or unintentionally disappointing people by saying like, I can't keep up with what I've done to myself. I'm the reason we're here. I'm sorry, but like, I need to make this change or I'm gonna have to cancel the contract. I can't support what I said yes to. And that's a lesson that you learn once and you probably never have to learn again. People say, I don't say no enough until like, that's a joke until you've actually done it and you physically can't deliver on everything you said yes to. Yep. And you have to let somebody down. Like you don't have a choice. Like there is no choice. You have to be you have to plan and contingency plan as best as possible. You're going to let somebody down. And I felt like a fucking fake coach because I felt like I baited and switched some people, but I didn't have a choice. And like, that was one of the hardest decisions that I made. And so I'm still kind of chewing through some of those mistakes and too many yeses. But like my whole team has been put in charge of holding me accountable to, I'm only taking on 10 clients next year. So if you're listening right now and you want Mike Claudio to coach you in 2023, you have one of 10 spots. That's all I'm taking. I have to.
You got to give yourself some grace, man. Like that's part of growth. You fucking push on your systems until they start fucking popping screws, and then you have to figure it out.
Yeah, the problem is like the only thing that was breaking was me. And like that let so many people down in the process. And
fuck out of here, bro.
What?
You did not let so many people down in the process.
Oh no, I'm anytime that you show up as not the best version of yourself, you're doing that audience a disservice.
I understand.
And 100%. So like, no, like, did I still bring value? Fuck yeah, because I'm fucking great at what I do. Like me at 60% is better than most people at 110%. That's not being cocky. That's just the truth. Like I don't need to be out my A game to still bring people a lot of value. That's because I've been doing this every day for like more than 4 years, but 4 years professionally.
Right.
And so I'm a leader. I'm a coach. That's what I do. I've done it for a long time. But that doesn't mean that like I still let people down.
Yep. I hear you.
And no, did they feel let down? No, but they didn't know that they weren't getting the best of me. And that's not fair to them either.
I understand.
But it's part of the growth. I have a tattoo right here, a T.S. Eliot quote on my bicep. It says, only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. Oh, I found the fucking limit. I blew right through that motherfucker. And now I'm chewing my way back to get into a functional routine. And I'll get there. I'll solve that problem. This isn't going to be the end of me. It's just going to be a long couple of months, the rest of this year, like rebuilding and getting things where it needs to be for me to really step into the CEO role of WinRate Consulting in 2023.
Yep. I hear you, man. I hear you 100%. I love what you say about visualization. We use similar tools, but I build out like 1,000-day blocks. So like, what do I want in 1,000 days? And then I break it down and I count down. So like I've got a date target and everything else. And it's got all these fucking what we will achieve, what we'll earn, what we'll have, all that stuff. And it manifests itself just like you're talking about. I mean, it's exactly what you're saying. I mean, I've got it written on my whiteboard, everything for the 1,000 days. And I'm just like a year out for this 1,000 days. Like 365 is May 26th, 2023. And so I'm right on top of it for a year. And we've almost achieved like 80% of the shit already for this 1,000 days. It's
the hardest part's deciding what you want, not actually getting it. That's like the most disgusting truth I've learned in life so far. The hard part's just deciding what you want, not actually getting it.
Yep. And then I think staying focused on it. Like, you don't have to necessarily focus on the shit, like the cars and stuff like that, but like the mission that you were on was what kept you going. Because we talked about like how things are going to suck at some point. Yeah. Right. And like, I think that's where most people lose their way, is like, they don't have that clarity of purpose of like where they're going and why. And so it's easy to take any fucking exit ramp when you don't know where you're going.
Yeah. I think it's knowing what you want and then like believing it's important enough to go get. Mm-hmm. You know, it has to be externally driven. It has to be impact focused. It can't be monetary or, stuff focused. It's got to be more impact. It's got to be significantly more emotionally driven than materialistically driven.
100%. 100%. So have you always wanted to help people? Has that always been your mission?
Always. Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't remember a time I wasn't trying to help somebody or make them better. And I didn't always have the right approach or the right, vocabulary, we'll call it. I went through some tough times where not everybody wants to be better. And I didn't understand that. And so like I pushed people away because I wanted them to be better more than they did. And so part of it was, understanding that there's a time and place for everything and getting good at, reading the situation and the people to make sure that you're not pushing somebody away by pushing for them to be better. A lot of relationships and friendships growing up, I lost a lot of those because I couldn't accept the fact that they didn't want to be better. And whether that was a sporting team or a high school friend or, someone in corporate America when I was there, like I always wanted to be better and I didn't understand people that didn't. And so I've probably pushed a lot of people away unnecessarily because of that, wanting more for those people around me. And, now obviously I've turned it into a successful, mission and business, but for a long time, it was definitely something that held me back, I think, from building quality relationships because I got so frustrated with people who weren't giving it their all, and 95+% of people don't want to. And that was just a hard realization I had to come to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is tough for sure. But once you realize that those people, you can't drag people to where you want them to be.
But the hard part is, I think, accepting the fact that you have to leave them behind. It's not that I want to drag you. It's that I don't want to go on without you. Like your best friends or your family or your ex-spouse, right? Like the people that like, you just didn't want to go on the journey without them. And like, I'm only going to pull you so far. And I think the pain is more accepting the fact that like, you have to leave them behind more than them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be alone on the mission and the journey. And it takes a long time to find people. Well, first it takes a long time to develop a consistency to your mission and vision. And then it takes a long time for people to believe in you. And it takes even longer for them to buy in to be a part of it. And so I think there's so much fear in creating separation from that trusted ecosystem you're in, whether it's friends, family, routine, that I think the actual pain and frustration is you accepting the fact that for you to get where you want to go, you have to leave them behind.
It's concentric circles is the way I describe it. And every level you step up, it gets smaller and it's fucking lonely. And sometimes you circle back and you find those same people. But I mean, it's chapters of your life too, right? They were involved in a chapter and now they're not there. And it sucks. It does suck. But I mean, the best you can do is just shine your light. So if they fucking decide they want more, they know where to find you.
And the right ones simply come back around and realize you're not a dick. You were just really passionate and
Yeah.
I was also immature in my delivery method with many. There's definitely some friendships I wish I had back because of my own inability to communicate in a mature way sometimes, or at least understand and be empathetic to their perception of my communication. I never like intentionally try to hurt anybody, but I know I did unintentionally some.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, I can relate to that because I'm not everybody's fucking cup of tea either. And like, people think I'm abrasive and aggressive and fucking like, that's just how I operate. And it's because I'm not wasting time. Like, my wife is kind of my intermediary for like communication methods, because I'm very concise and I'm not being a dick. I said what I need to say, and it's not more than 5 words. And so like, I need an answer. And and a lot of people aren't used to that type of like assertiveness in your dealing with them as well. So I could see you having some issues with that.
Well, and part of it was accepting that like I'm not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it was accepting that not everyone deserves the best version of me. I pour out a lot, like you said, right? I pour into a lot of people. And for me to do that for the right people, I have to choose, because I can't do it for everybody.
Yep.
And most people don't understand that. They don't understand not being one of the people that you're just going to like bend over backwards for and do whatever they want. And I'm not.
Yeah.
And if you don't appreciate that, then like you're just a taker and I don't owe you anything.
For me, the really hard thing to decipher with that exact thing that you're talking about is I truly feel like some people haven't got to the level where they understand that. Because I have like really distinct boundaries, but I still have these young bucks who come and approach me and they're like, hey, can we hop on the phone for half a fucking Friday afternoon? And I'm like, fuck no, absolutely not. And they're like, whoa, you're a jerk. Why? And I'm like, because I have 100,000 things to do and people need me. And like, I just can't hop on the phone anytime you want. Like, I don't answer the phone and it drives people crazy. I never, like, you have to text me and say, I'm going to call you. And I'm like, oh, okay, I expect it then. and really people are turned off by that, but I am super protective of it.
You have to violently protect your mission.
Yeah.
And your time is a big key part of that. So I'm a big proponent of violently protecting it. And if you don't appreciate that, well, then you weren't part of my mission to begin with. And I'm not going to be sorry you're not a part of it.
Well, I think one of the best sayings I've ever heard about it is like, busy people understand busy people.
Yeah.
Like, if I text you and you don't text me back for 3 weeks, I'm not like offended, like Mike's a dick and like he's not following up with me. Like, shit just happens, man. Like, I get it.
Yeah. I think some people just aren't busy enough.
Most people aren't busy enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. When are you guys going to regroup and set the new battle plans? When you get in the new house?
I mean, like, we got the next we'll say the base camp for the business imagined. But no, once we get settled, we got to get through the move and get through the closing, and then Tiff and I will sit down and reimagine again kind of what's next for us. It'll probably be, I'd say, third quarter at the earliest.
Good.
Because we're just too much transition right now for us to be clear on what's next. We gotta complete this base camp first. We're almost there. We'll be there in the next 4 to 6 weeks or so. And then we have to look at like, what does successfully homeschooling our kids look like? What does success in our marriage look like? What does success in our routine and time look like? And I will violently protect that at all costs. So don't ask me for free time.
I love it, man. I love it.
And I want to give like your audience, like, I'm going to give you permission to like, not everybody deserves the best version of you. Like, just because they ask doesn't mean that you have to give it to them. And they're not going to understand that because everybody's used to get what the fuck they want when they want it. I get called a jerk in my DMs all the time because I won't give people free fucking time. And I'm like, if you don't understand why that's being so disrespectful to my existing clients, that they have to pay for advice and you just get it because you sent me a fucking DM because you watched one of my 500 fucking YouTube videos, you're the problem, not me. I might be a dick. You're a selfish son of a bitch. We're even.
Yes.
That's fucking takers. Takers are some of the worst people in the world because they don't even know they're bad. They think you're the problem.
How can people find you, Mike?
I ain't got time for it. I was kidding. Obviously, so the podcast, if you're listening to podcasts and you enjoy podcasts, the Big Stud podcast is that we're 200 plus 220 plus episodes in. It's been a fun journey. At WinRate Consulting on Instagram is where I primarily engage with people. Don't ask me for a free phone call. Like I'm just telling you, you're not going to get it. You want to get involved? Sign up as a fucking client. You don't. I put out hundreds of pieces of free content a year. I spend 50 grand a year on video and audio production of free content. So Mike Claudio on YouTube is the YouTube channel. I put, 2 videos a week out there, 2 podcasts a week on the podcast. And then at WinRate Consulting on Instagram, if you want to really just connect with me there, winrateconsulting.com and mikeclaudio.com are 2 websites you can go to just do a little more research on your own. And then, if you want to be one of those 10 people in 2023, tell me. Let's get together. Let's figure it out.
I love it, man. I love it. I love your growth. I love what your family's doing. Congratulations. I'm happy for you guys.
Thanks, man. It's been a cool journey so far. And, I'm excited to reimagine, revisualize, remanifest, and build something pretty epic. So we're just getting started.
Absolutely. I look forward to watching the journey, my man.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll link all his stuff in the show notes, guys. So if you want to find him, all the information will be out there. And WinRate Consulting.
Thank you for listening to the show. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Tactical Empire.